Except that I suppose I'm pretty predictable. And because you're predictable, people then perceive you as being perhaps safe. G'day! Welcome, everybody. I'm Peter Chin, and I'm the Mayor of Dunedin, and it really is a great pleasure for me to be here this afternoon to welcome you to the Age Concern Otago Spring Luncheon. So I'm very much aware of the dignity of the office, although sometimes perhaps I don't perform the way that perhaps one should think that the Mayor should. But as I say, going right back to the beginning, you know, I've got to be myself.
The single accomplishment that Peter is most proud of in his civic life is chairing the committee which built the totally authentic Chinese garden in the heart of the city.
The situation was that the committee were basically all first-generation New Zealand-born Chinese who basically didn't have a clue what a Chinese garden entailed. So we said, yes, let's do this, and then basically spent the next 12 years making it happen. So we've got this wonderful place, not a nail in the whole place. Everything has been prefabricated there. And this beautiful hand-lacquered work here. It's really been good that we've been able to acknowledge basically virtually everybody who has made a contribution towards the garden. Main contributors being the New Zealand government, the Shanghai Municipal People's Government. It's user-friendly, it's a people-friendly place. It's not, there's an austerity about it, but yet it's something that's inviting you just to share in it and be part of it. It's very interesting because of the contrast, I suppose, of the Chinese history and European history. So that the kind of the East and West connection, I think, is just really hugely important for this whole garden. Because just to stand here and look around, there, you'd think, right, I'm in the middle of China somewhere, and yet kind of over the wall, you know, we are in Dunedin. It's just something that really is wonderful.
While Peter can take much of the credit for the garden, he's first to admit that policy decisions are only made by due democratic process. In Dunedin, all 15 city councillors are independent, which leaves the mayor very little actual power.
This is as good as it gets, because the thought of being a national politician would be something that's just not me. I can't ever see myself in a position of, say, in Parliament, abusing shit out of you one moment and then going and say, look, let's go and have a drink together. I can't compartmentalise my relationships with people in that way. I can't work like that. And I'm really glad to say that local politics isn't like that. I've lived in Dunedin all my life, and this city has been wonderful to my parents, to me, and to my children. And I can't see myself living anywhere else except in Dunedin. And I think I'd like to think that I've contributed to this city, and that I have tried to do my best to make sure that the city is no worse, but hopefully a little better off for me having been the Mayor of Dunedin.
Gisborne. When Captain James Cook anchored in this bay and came ashore, it became the place of first contact between Maori and Europeans. The historic meeting between two peoples was the very beginning of modern New Zealand. Gisborne is the easternmost city of New Zealand, and its claim to fame, the first to see the sunrise in the world. It's a place with long history, rich traditions, and a powerful iwi culture that permeates and integrates into Maori and Pakeha lives alike. And for Liu Jin Meng, better known as Mayor Meng, a place where neither language nor ethnicity has boundaries. Meng's profile runs big, and getting out and getting stuck in has been pivotal to his personal civic style. This Saturday morning at the Moana Toa Rugby Club, there's been a blessing for the ladies' new jerseys, and Mayor Meng's on hand to lead the proceedings.
The nurturing, the leadership, being together as a family is so important to all of us. Standing alongside our people and cheering the teams on, doesn't matter which team it is. I don't actually have any favourites, but it's good to see the boys and the girls playing.
Meng loves league and has recently been appointed to the National Rugby League Board.
But the people will all know each other. The cultural ethnicity is very diverse and very inclusive, and we all participate in each other's events. So it's a fantastic community.
And his community certainly loves him.
I reckon, he's a highly spoken person about Māori tanga and all of that sort of stuff.
And he's just so amazing, like with all ages, from little kids up into high, and he really cares.
On a rating of a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give him probably 9 3/4.
Meng was elected as mayor 8 years ago, and it's been quite a learning curve.
Actually, no training school. I think it's a desire to help people. I think it's a love for your community in the first instance. It's at the end of the day, it's all about our community, our people.
When Chinese Meng was elected, he was the only candidate who could speak Te Reo, and he was also the first ever to be sworn in on a marae.
Kei te kōrero, ahau, ki a koutou i te reo Māori. Wonderful that it was actually held at Pohorawiri Marae, which is probably the first. Plus, given that our population is 50% Māori as well, it was great to have a lot of our community involved, Māori, Pākehā, Chinese. They all came to the marae for the ceremony itself, and it was a great occasion.
While Meng's policy statement might have been filled with corporate speak words like transparency and accountability, what really counted was his obvious love of the job. He likes to listen. Everyone has his cell phone number, and there's a huge desire to be seen and be there.
Our community is a very giving community. Statistically, in volunteer hours, we give the most per head of population. We give the most money to any cause per capita in the whole of New Zealand. So those two things sort of characterise our community as a very generous and supportive community, and a very caring one.
By most standards, Meng's realm is tiny, less than 50,000 people all up. Around 2/3 live in the city, the rest live in the small coastal settlements, hill farms, and wine-growing flats beyond. This mayor is always on the move. This Saturday morning, Meng's schedule is crammed full. Along with rugby, there's been a pōwhiri. And perhaps surprisingly, a date with a trolley at Pack and Save.
Right, off to the second.